Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. On this week's show, we're going to recap the one championship bout between Dante Leone and Ruotolo for the 85-pound championship belt. Ooh, man, I'm messing this all up. It's been a long week. We're also going to recap the Brasileiros, a bunch of the finals matches for the black belts in the adult division. As always in the show, I'm your host, Maine, my co-host.
Miranda.
How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. I cannot find the word middleweight, apparently.
Yeah. Well, we were discussing some funny things. So
Yeah.
we're discussing how we are once again in the same location that we've been at for months.
The ceiling's up. The paint is going on the walls in the new studio. It was supposed to be painted this week. I've been saying it, as Miranda said, we started recording, for 5 months now. Next week. Maybe
it's not 5 months. I just made up a number, but
it feels like 5 months.
It's been a while.
I'm into the final sections of painting. Hopefully,
you're
by June.
You're gonna continue to gaslight the listeners and
Hopefully
tell them
by
that it's gonna
June,
happen, and it doesn't happen.
The audio sounds better. I apologize for the last 5 months of the slight echo you hear. But we got some fun matches to talk about this week. One championship always kind of confuses me because this was actually a middleweight title fight that is basically held at welterweight. I think they weighed in at like 178, 174, something like that. They were pretty close in weight with each other. As far as news goes this week, really the only news we have is New Wave rebranded into Kingswave, New King. Kingsway. And they're opening up like a brick and mortar gym. They've been talking about this for a while now. Danaher had another hip surgery, so that will.
Yeah, he came out of. They showed pictures of him coming out of anesthesia. That's what I saw online when I just looked at my phone a few minutes ago, and also one of the CJI coaches for the Misfits team is Greg Sauer.
Oh yeah, he was also on the. He was on Superman, the podcast. I haven't listened to it.
Did you listen to it?
I have not listened to it this week.
It's very interesting.
That's what I've heard from the recap.
He has quite the personality that I expected.
Yep, and that's I actually read the Reddit thread on the podcast again. I'll go back and listen to it. I listened to the Simpleman podcast today where they were talking about.
I kind of understand him a little bit more now, and I don't like. I get it a little bit more, but I'm still not.
Still not completely sold on the approach.
Not on board.
Yeah, you're not. We've talked personally. You don't particularly love that training style for yourself.
No, that training style for myself does not work. But there are many reasons why. I think if I had smaller people to roll with that were my size, then maybe that training approach would work.
I think honestly, he'll be really cool to see for the team for the Misfits. Again, if you watch what he does with the guys that he does put on the field. I've been really excited with the Corbett brothers and a lot of other folks that come out of Standard because they're local to us. So we see a lot of their guys like in the training process and like Brian Guevara and like a bunch of guys that we've seen locally. I've been really, really excited with. So I'm excited to see, hopefully, and he actually talked about, I think on the podcast, actually wanting those guys to come and train with him for a while. So it's like, I appreciate they're actually making a real Misfits team out of it. And like, I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah,
Again, the rest of the teams look good so far. Yeah. So we got 3 months, 2 months till the event comes up. It's coming up rapidly. Still haven't booked my flights for Vegas yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's other big news this week as we finally we're getting more and more teams fleshed out. Am I missing anything else for news?
No, I think that's it.
All right, so let's move right into the recaps here. We have a major, we have Brazilian Nationals, Brasileiros as well. We're going to run through those a little more quickly this year. Typically, we don't cover Brasileiros because they're super hard to cover with the coverage, but actually Flow, credit where credit's due, I say it a lot, they put out a really great finals day with all of the matches laid out and a little blurb for each match. Man, they're getting it together. I like where it's going. But let's talk about one championship first. The rematch between Ruotolo and Dante Leone. They had a rematch. This is a match from 5 years ago, something like that. 3 years ago at least.
Yeah, something like that.
A while ago. So I didn't really look much into the first match, kind of in heading into this match because I was like, Dante looks pretty different, and Ty looks way different. So I really don't want to draw a ton of parallels between the earlier match and this match because I just don't think either guy looks a lot like they did in years past. Like Ty has a similar styling.
This is actually their third match. They went against each other.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
They went against each other at Grapple Fest 8 in 2020.
Yep.
And they went against each other, I believe, at one of the...
Who's number ones, I think. It was one of the early Who's Number Ones, I think, when like Tye was like 17 or something.
Yeah.
Because I always get his matches
number
with
one
Cade.
in 2021.
Yeah, okay, so 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't look too much into those matches because I just don't think, like, I think Tye is so much different as a grappler than he was 4 and 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And especially even just in one, like he's a different guy in one, where I don't think the parallels are as much there. I was blown away with when Tye has someone that will actually sort of play jiu-jitsu with him, how good his passing looked.
Yes.
Dude, Dante, we've talked about it, probably one of the earlier one championship matches, or like a recent match we covered for Dante. We were talking about specifically how good his guard play is and kind of like how almost underrated. Like you don't really think, a lot of times people don't consider Dante's guard play and like they do, but it's sort of like he does other things. He's a good wrestler. He's a good leg locker, but he plays a lot from the guard. Like he won his first IBJJF world title from the guard, primarily in that match. Like he's incredibly hard to pass. He's dynamic.
When he did the one like super heavy tournament that he did.
Oh yeah,
JJF when he did that one, it was all guard. He'd pull every single time.
Yeah, and he's a very, very good guard player versus bigger guys versus smaller guys. Like he is monstrously hard to deal with in the guard. He'll off balance you. He'll get under you. He'll stay active and moving. Which is exactly what we saw throughout this entire one championship match. Was Dante Leone active from the guard and Tye Ruotolo just not really caring. And sort of just being left to his kind of his range he wanted to play, and then passing and jumping passing and stomp passing.
And he has an interesting range because he's a lanky individual without being lanky. Like he has an interesting body.
We watched this again on the pre-show. We watched all the matches again on the pre-show because it's been a fun week for both of us. And we're like, let's just do a double check here. We watched this one, not in slow motion, but we probably took almost 25 minutes to watch this 10-minute match. Tye, in a couple of different places, does something really interesting that I don't know if I've seen anyone else at a high level do. He's playing like an outside knee cut game, and he will reach down below Dante's leg and grab his hand. And it's something we've seen him do before, but it's not something that we see guys do in no-gi with like any regularity. And the thing that I thought was interesting in this particular match is when he would go to that knee cut.
It's almost like I'm trying to think what that pass was called. Like the old school pass where you would like go between people's legs and take your fist and put it between.
Oh, like a monkey
legs.
pass or something.
Yeah.
Like the Horizondo drill you do, sort of the bullfighter pass, but like you do it from that close range and you jump between the legs with both fists on the mat and you like jump back and forth. Yeah, that drill.
It's kind of like that, except for he was holding.
That is one of those old school drills that I actually like.
No, it was fun.
I like that drill.
It was a fun drill.
But he does that, but he grabs Dante's hand under, and then normally what people do is they'll plant, and then they'll look for you to pull your hand back, and they'll pass off that. Tye grabs Dante's hand and does like a throw by pass with the hand grip a couple of times.
It's kind of reminiscent of in wrestling, they'll grab hands and they'll kind of throw your wrists and your hands. There's a term for that, and I don't know what it is. But they grab your hands and they kind of throw your hands, and it literally spins your entire body because your hands are kind of going before the rest of your body. It's reminiscent of that. He like takes his hands and almost like chucks his entire body by his hands. But it's not a whip, but it's something like that.
It feels like that. But he's doing it from the passing, and like most people can't check, but most people that ever do this, they are so bent over to be able to get their hands low enough to do that that they don't have the forward pressure to be able to drive through their knees and their chest.
Oh, and your head's so low. Your head's so close to them.
Tye does this from a more upright position. And throughout the match later, he plays really head down, really like low, his forehead under Dante's chin, trying to kind of flatten him out and get stuff going. But earlier in the match, and even honestly through the mid points of the match, we see Tye passing at range and from this like knee cut and smash down position, and then he will either throw the hand or he'll stomp pass and cross over and force Dante to re-guard on the other side. Dante will push him away, and then Tye will either go for a foot and do a jumping pass, or he will jump over, or he will do the thing that Pato does. It's a pass that Pato does. It's actually that Zach's working on right now. It is the you basically do a jumping through pass, but you take your close side hand and you grab their opposite hip, and you take your same side hand essentially and grab their opposite hip, and you end up in north-south. And he does that a couple of times. And it's something we typically see like guys do at the lower weight classes. It's not something we see with huge regularity from the heavier guys from the guard like this. We'll see guys do it at range, but to see a guy like Tye do this because he's so long, he can get to your hips, and he can flatten you down from preventing you from inverting on north-south and to get back to the guard. And he gets past Dante in, I think, the first or second sequence when they're on the ropes. And Dante's pushing away on the ropes, and Tye's just passed. And I went, ooh, that was really interesting. I wonder if Tye later in the match can continue to replicate this success getting past Dante's guard.
You know, you were talking about how he kind of puts one of his feet on one of the ropes. He's kind of pushing against the rope.
Dante is when he gets past the initial first pass of the match after the double leg.
I wonder if that's also him. If you're in a cage in that situation, you can push off the cage with your foot and invert. Because you can use the cage to kind of get your...
Yeah, so, it's one championship.
You can wall walk.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's why he did that initially.
Because he was preparing for one and they didn't know.
He thought he could, pick his hips up with his foot or do something with it, and then he couldn't, do anything.
Because the ropes were pushed away and the referee was pushing the ropes a little bit. Yeah, so this one was in Lumpini Stadium in Thailand, and it was in a ring, and it was... I had another point to make about it.
It's in ropes.
It was ropes in a ring, and so which is
I'm just thinking.
uncommon
I'm
for
just
grappling.
thinking the only time I ever see people put their feet on
yes,
the
especially
side
it's to wall walk up and then over
up.
out of side control.
Yeah, and you could wall walk onto someone's back. You can wall walk.
It's a great position. That's why we see it so much in MMA. So you can walk up the wall essentially. And
I
then
wonder
get
if
out.
that's initially what he thought. He could just grab it and go.
And then the ropes have too much push, and so he wasn't able to do anything. Yeah, it was interesting. He sat there for a little bit, and I was curious what the thought process was for doing it, because he's not really stopping Tye from going to mount from that position.
And it doesn't benefit him to push away from the ropes or into the ropes.
Because it was kind of into Tye's side control at that point. It was just it was interesting. They kind of reset it eventually and back into the center, and I just wasn't really sure where it was going, but it was we watch a lot of jiu-jitsu. We break down a lot of jiu-jitsu. That was one thing where I was like, I don't know what Dante's doing there, but Dante's not a dumb grappler. There's a thought process there, and it's one of the rare cases where I'm seeing something and I'm actually missing. I don't know why he's doing that.
And maybe the ring that he trains, with
might have more push.
Might have
do
more
something,
push, and he can push off of it with his foot or something. Who knows?
It was,
or maybe that's just where his foot landed. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. It was neat. I thought it was really interesting. The first big sequence of the match was Tye shooting a double leg and getting Dante down, and then we did not see Dante stand for the rest of the match. No. We don't see a lot of Tye's wrestling, but when we do, I'm consistently kind of impressed with the speed that both him and his brother will just kind of fucking go for it.
Yeah.
They'll just boom. They get a lot of guys down with that just aggressive forward pressure. And to get a guy like Dante down kind of as easily and as quickly as Tye did, I'm just continually impressed with it.
Yeah.
Because man, it kind of very early set the tone and the pacing of the match in Tye's favor.
Yeah.
And
we were discussing the one thing that both of us saw, which was, or not both of us saw, but something that makes sense is that they have an aggressive style that, if you don't know what you're looking at, can look to be
super spazzy,
or uncontrolled.
We were talking about this for seeing coaching white belts that watch these matches and then
not
dealing with
not
the gym.
coaching them, dealing with them at the gym, where they watch this pass and they're like, oh, I can just throw my knee into you and then spaz out on top of you and then pass you.
Specifically, there's two passes that Tye does where Tye and Cade both
they throw themselves into you. And
we did a frame by frame on the pass, and I was like, see what they're missing. And a lot of times, so if you do this kind of pass, go back and watch how Tye does the pass. It's really interesting, because the one pass in particular that I'm talking about is, it does it twice, but the one I want to talk about here is Tye goes for a counter estima lock on Dante as Dante reguards, and he does a leg drag across, Dante turns his foot back in. Tye grabs for the leg again, and then as Dante goes for the pull away, Tye basically throws the leg by and does a jumping, like a somersault pass over top. You see him initially grab towards the back of the back and the hip line, realize that Dante's a little too far away, turns, and then grabs on the top of the leg instead.
Yeah.
And it was like, if you are watching this as a novice, you're going to see that and go, it's jumping pass. What you missed is Tye makes 3 or 4 adjustments in the air because he's realizing he's tracking Dante a little further away than he meant to on the jump. And he's got to recollect the position.
Well, and also Dante.
It was wild.
Dante is also adjusting his position.
Yeah.
You know?
Because Dante realizes, he's taking my back. Dante hips his shoulder. He gets basically his shoulders a little more down and starts to turn out and forces Tye to cut a bigger angle, which is why Tye has to go take the other thing.
Look, Jimenez is talking to Adam too.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, sorry.
Well, I gotta make sure I just have notes up for you.
I get sidetracked and I start paying attention to things all over the place. But anyway, so
it was really just Tye. It was Dante playing.
Don't think that you can just do a forward roll over someone to pass their guard, because we'll track your hips, take your back, and choke the fuck out of you.
Yeah, it was just really impressive to watch. What looks like, and what kind of Tye and Cade both get kind of criticized for is they get criticized for sloppy jiu-jitsu or spaz jiu-jitsu, and I don't think that is the case. If you watch a lot of their sequences,
it's quick movement.
Yeah, and a lot of it is they are making a lot more reactions than I think they're commonly given credit for.
Yeah.
For
a lot more head movement.
A lot more body movement. A lot more a lot more grip. If you look for it, a lot more grip changes and very, very rapid, purposeful grip changes to both move them and move their opponent to a position that they are working for. They're also not guys that typically play a really heavy pressure smash game. They don't get to a spot and just kind of grind out. They want to get you to move. They want to get you to kind of run with them, because they're going to take the sub off of the opportunity, which is, again, why I like a guy like Dante, who's willing to Dante didn't just lock a close guard up and go, cool, pass my close guard. He went, cool, man, I'm going to play this open R guard. I'm going to play an underhook De La Riva guard. I'm going to throw all of these guards that I'm very, very good at playing against you to see how you can pass them. And then at any opportunity, I'm going to go for your knee bar. I'm going to go. And then Tye deals with the knee bar. He deals with the leg lock entry. He deals with... Dude, at one point, Dante throws X guard, and Tye hits the most disgusting, just not going to be an X guard. He just peels off Dante's hand for the leg side, where in X guard, you have one... traditionally, how guys play X guard a lot of times is they have one leg on the top of the shoulder, and you'll have your feet on the other leg in X guard.
Yeah.
And Tye just reaches down for the grip that Dante has on his top side hand, on the shoulder hand, and just strips the grip and just pulls his leg out of X guard. And Dante goes to recompose a single leg X or like any other guard here, and Tye just goes no and steps out of it in a way it is so wild to not get counter swept when you get out of the guard that way. It just really speaks to Tye's balance and his timing to realize that, okay, I can just step my leg out of here. Dante's going to be forced to react and push me out, and then I can just step the rest of my body out of range here and get out and just reset this entire guard. People do not just step out of Dante's X guard.
Yeah.
People do not just step out of the guard at this high level like that. It is wild to see Tye Ruotolo be able to do that as seemingly easily as he did. Super uncommon levels of technical understanding and thought process to do that. It was, as an X guard player, I got very sad. I went, oh no, that means that people could do that to me because I really like my X guard. And Tye Dante is absolutely worlds better than me. If they can do it to Dante, they can for sure do that to me. And it was just extremely impressive. And it was bell to bell. Dante very much in it, looking for the legs primarily, but just not really being able to get any catches. And Tye just consistently pushing such an intense pace in the match and getting past and getting dominant position and kind of looking for occasionally for his own leg locks, that I think he takes a pretty clean decision here. I hope we continue to see Dante in one championship. And again, Tye is hinting at making the transition to MMA like his brother did, which kind of sucks because I like watching him grapple. Matches like these I would love to see more than a couple times a year from both Ruotolo brothers, but if he wants to go pursue MMA, that's where the big fame is. That's where the money, that's what the glory is. Like, I can't.
I don't know if that's where the money is, but it depends. I guess it depends on who you fight for, probably.
They're both super exciting. It was a masterclass performance. Like, not many people in the world can deal with Dante Leon's guard as as well as Tye Ruotolo did. And like, credit to Dante, man. He was in it the whole time. A lot of lesser guys would have gotten subbed a couple of times with like the Darce attempts, the way Dante pushes out of the Darce. Like, it was just a masterclass of offensive guard work, but also being defensively sound enough to not overextend when a guy like Tye Ruotolo is coming for your body. Yeah. So it was an exciting match. I really enjoyed watching it. Any kind of thoughts you have? Any other pieces you missed that you want to talk about?
No, I thought it was funny at one point that Tye Ruotolo, like, kind of like...
Oh, you caught this.
He, like, pats his leg and, like, looks at Dante for Dante to get his... like a
De La Riva hook in.
His De La Riva hook in.
Because Tye is just standing in front of Dante, and then...
Get your De La Riva hook.
He just kind of tapped it. Dante kind of like laughs at him. He's like, and then Dante goes, okay, and puts De La Riva hook up kind of where he wants it, and they keep playing. But it was like, that is a gangster move to give the guy the De La Riva hook because you want to know where his leg is so that you can counter pass it. Like, dude, I give Dante a De La Riva hook, he just kills me. And you're like, there's no pass the De La Riva hook.
He just kills you with the De La Riva hook.
Yeah, it's like, the level of confidence you have to, but it wasn't even like it wasn't even like that boisterous. It was just like, I want to pass off this, and you're not giving it to me, and I can kind of like bait this, but just give it to me.
He has a brother that's the same size as him that he probably, that we know they beat the crap out of each other.
We have it on footage of them in hotel rooms, like fighting. Like, he's game for it, man. It was, it's awesome to see the Ruotolo brothers kind of continue to develop and just continue to impress me. On top of like Dante being one of my favorite grapplers, so to do it to a guy like Dante is like just really impressive. Tye retains the middleweight belt here at One Championship. Again, I assume in the next match or two, he's going to move over to MMA. That's kind of what he talked about in the post-fight interview. We'll cover the first couple of fights in MMA as well because, man, like, he has been super exciting. Again, I interviewed him when he was like 16 at ADCC 2019. So it's been really cool to watch his career develop, and dude is a phenomenal passer. So any closing thoughts on One?
Nope.
One is always fun. So let's move on to the Brasileiros, the Brazilian National Championship, the second. Have we had Pans already?
Yes.
The third.
Pans is in April.
It is. It all blends together after so many years. The third major, if you're looking for a Grand Slam, if you're looking to win Europeans, Pan Americans, or Pans.
Well, we're still in
We're in gi season right now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We're in gi season. We're still in gi season,
which ends in like June or July, usually with Worlds.
It ends with Worlds in June.
Is it in June? Mm-hmm. You think after this many years, I would know? It was weird for a couple of years.
No gi season is June to December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My bad. That like
it's Worlds to Worlds.
Yeah.
It's the easiest way to think about it.
You would think after this many years. But again, we had those like 3 years during 2020 that was all 1 year, and we had 2 world championships, and that confused me so much.
And then you have some people that only do one or the other, and that confuses. And
this is a gi season, guy. This is off season, guy. So regardless, Brazilian Nationals, Brasileiros took place this weekend. We are going to run through a couple of these matches. So historically, we don't cover Brasileiros because it is usually the footage is bad, and usually the coverage is bad. This year, the footage pretty good. We have full names and decent point structures, and Flow actually has articles with big breakdowns of the big important matches for finals matches and semifinals matches, so it makes the coverage a lot easier. There were some really fun moments. There were also a bunch of matches that were won by one advantage for usually a come-up sweep. We're going to run through those really quickly, mainly talking about like the finishes and the fun matches here, so if we skip over a match, that's why. Men's open class, we had Eric Muniz defeating Marcos Ribeiro. 2 points. 10-minute match with 2 points scored. I think it's
a sweep.
It's a 10-minute match with 1 sweep.
Eric sweeping.
You stop me here when you want to talk more depth. There's a couple. They're like Tynan has matches I want to talk about.
Yeah, there's just some weird ones, but
that's Brasileiros every time. We had a lot of matches in Brasileiros this year in the finals that were.
So do you notice? There's Porfirio is right there watching Gabriella's match See the zebra print.
Interesting.
See the zebra.
Oh, there she is. Yeah.
There she is.
With the medal on her neck
Yeah.
there.
So that matches.
Interesting.
Anyway.
Women's open class.
Yeah, we were looking in crowds because like every once in a while you'll see somebody like you'll see Jimenez.
Jimenez is in like a bright yellow shirt.
Yeah, so he's very easily found
Yeah.
in the background.
I actually kind of like the way that it was framed this year. I wish we had more than one mat side photo, more mat side camera here, but I kind of like being able to see the full crowd. Like it's nice because a lot of times the way that they shoot for pans or worlds,
Yeah,
like,
you can't see
it
a
just
crowd at
or it
all.
looks like an empty arena. And It's
Yeah.
kind of sad. Brasileiro's looks packed, which is kind of cool. Like it gives it a vibe, like it really matters, and actually was like really important. Because again,
well, and
Brasileiro
it
is
seems
just
like
historically big.
it seems like it'd be a fun event to go to.
Yeah, Brasileiro's always seems
Yeah.
like, and again, we've had folks from the gyms and associations before go down and always
Yeah.
talk about like it's kind of a good time. Open class for women, we had Gabi Pasana defeating Yara Soares 2-0. This is one of the closer matches that they've had. I'm kind of curious. I didn't watch a lot of Pasana's matches. I watched her finals match with Tayane, which we'll talk about because it's very interesting. But she really has had Yara Soares' number for a couple of years now. This was by far the closest match I can recall them having in a while here. Interestingly enough, the 2 points that Pasana gets here, I do not think she should have gotten. She comes up from like a double-seated 50-50 or like a double-seated position for about 2.5 seconds. And she's given the 2 points before she kind of sits back down.
Yeah.
At like 2.5 seconds, and then she's sitting down by like 3.
Yeah,
Like
it's a weird timing thing.
even if she's up for the 3 seconds that you're required to be, she gets the points before I think that she should get she gets the points extremely quickly here.
He looks like the ref also looks like he looks at the table because you can kind of see the table. They have the guy that looks like he's from the Ghostbusters movie with the grayish hair, and they're on the one side. And it almost looks like he looks over at the table before he gives the points or as he gives the points.
But it was
Like-
extremely quick. It was like
But it's Gabi Pasana.
It is, yeah. But it was interesting though because I have noticed recently IBJJF is awarding points very quickly. It is past couple of years I've noticed like it is almost
for certain
instant
for certain
certain people for sure. But Yara Soares here actually is up advantages, so she has 4 advantage to Pasana's 3,
Yeah.
and Pasana has 1 penalty.
the sweep is I don't know.
It was definitely awarded before 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Before I think she had established top control and then actually like seated on it.
Yeah.
It was
And
extremely
then, like,
quick.
let's say they would have gave her a penalty or an advantage, then Gabby still would have lost
because she has a penalty there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I didn't agree with the scoring here. But again, it's Yara Soares, I think, starting to figure out the matchup. She's keeping it much, much closer to Pasana. Again, we see these 2 women in the finals of almost every major, of almost every, I forget the weight class that they're both in. Like they see each other 6 times a year.
Yeah.
And I think Yara Soares is figuring out the matchup and keeping a lot more close. It is interesting. On the heels of Pasana taking a big loss, that might be the next match here. It's not the next match here. To Tiny Porfirio in this tournament a week late after her meeting her at BJJ Heroes.
Yeah.
BJ
Yeah,
Stars. Sorry,
Stars.
BJ Stars. But let's move on to the order that Flo has this in because I actually like their notes for this event and we're going to use them. Adam Roszinski defeated Leo Ferreira via 1 advantage that is scored 7 seconds into the match on a double pull that Wardzinski comes up on. He gets the advantage. There are no additional scores throughout the entirety of the 10-minute match. It is really Wardzinski trying to pass modified De La Hiva that Leo Ferreira is playing and a couple other guards and
Fedetta is
not
a
passing.
good guard player.
He's a good guard player. Again, Wardzinski's a monster.
Yeah.
So to keep Wardzinski at bay.
And he also has crazy length, but I think Fedetta also has the crazy length about him.
Yeah, we just saw Leo Ferreira versus Hiro Brito.
Yes.
At BJJ Stars 15, where he beat Brito by 2 points there. Again, he holds Adam to no passing, which is impressive because Wardzinski's a very good passer. But it is the same coupled, like 2 guards throughout the entirety of the match, and that 1 score wins it for Wardzinski. So we're getting Wardzinski. I don't know. Did he win Pans too?
Yes, he did.
He's on. He might be able to do Grand Slam.
Yeah, the only thing he's lost is BJJ Stars.
Yeah, dude, he might be the first guy in a while, non-Brazilian, to Grand Slam it, especially at the heavier weight classes. That would be
probably the first Polish.
Absolutely the first Polish dude.
Yeah.
I think he's the first Polish dude to ever win Brasileiros.
Yeah,
so,
probably.
Like, again, Wardzinski, huge fan of that guy. Not a super exciting match, but I like Wardzinski.
This next match we love because during the choke,
Jansen Gomez defeated Davy that name's Federici via a rear collar choke, which was listed by Flo. It might be renegade choke. It looks like a belly down bow and arrow collar choke from the back. It would be
choke.
Awesome to see if the camera at the finishing moments of the choke didn't pan to the side referee and then
just watch the side referee.
As Jansen Gomez gets up victorious, it goes, oh, and it pans back and it's like, okay, well, cool. I can spend the next 30 minutes looking for another angle of this other than the official footage, but yeah, we can't see it on the broadcast, so
we don't know
there's
really
that.
What happens.
Again, we know Jansen Gomez is good. You don't beat Tynan Daupre at Worlds a couple years ago if you're not real good. Not really a huge surprise for us.
He went up a weight class.
Yeah, he did. He's medium heavy now.
Yeah.
So Jansen Gomez takes the men's medium heavyweight division via a ghost choke that we couldn't see.
Yes.
Here's a match that I'll eat my words on. Men's middleweight, Tynan Daupre defeated Elijah Dorsey on points 6-0. I watched this match first, and before Miranda and I did the pre-show, and I was like, man, I was really impressed with Dorsey's passing. I think that he really has what it takes to potentially beat Daupre if like this match is like maybe a little different or the pacing different. Miranda goes, watch it again. And so we sat down, we watched the whole thing. I do not think Elijah Dorsey in this match initiates one piece of offense in the entirety of the match. I thought it was, in my eyes, it was like...
He doesn't initiate it.
He reacts.
He reacts, and he has reactive offense.
He has great reactive offense to a lot of stuff, and some of the best reactive offense we've ever seen versus Daupre.
But he doesn't actually begin
there's not
most of the sequences.
I don't think there's one sequence in the match, maybe in the first minute or two, but even there, I don't think so.
No.
It is Daupre playing and going through a series of different guards, and it is Dorsey
and different
sweeping attempts and armbar attempts and just cycling through.
And then it's Elijah reacting and kind of trying to take advantage of those movements in order to pass.
Because I thought this was, and I watched it very quickly first. I didn't give it the time it needed. I was like, okay, man, Elijah's really pushing it here. He's like getting close to passing in a lot of places. He has a jumping pass at the end that's like very close that Tynan has to go to deep half on. And then we watched it again. We watched it at full speed. We didn't tab through anything. And it was Tynan playing guard, Tynan looking for a sweep, and Elijah throwing by or looking to pass. And like he is making amazing attempts, like closer than we see almost anyone get to passing Tynan.
He is, and he's having much bigger openings. Like he's opening himself up a lot more.
Yes. And Tynan usually kills people for that.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, you give me an arm a little bit, cool, armbar or back take or this.
Yeah.
It was very impressive.
It also shows that Tynan like respects Elijah in a way that he keeps on going back to his guard. He doesn't get lazy at any point. He doesn't leave anything out.
Yeah, he doesn't overextend.
He goes,
ever.
He goes for like a choi bar. It doesn't work. He immediately goes back to whatever guard.
He doesn't fight through the back and fight through the legs and try to wrestle it up. He really respects the game that Elijah brings to the matchup. But it was just really interesting. I mean, this is something we've been critical of Dorsey for really his entirety of his black belt career. He does not push a pace. He does not push activity.
But this shows that if you have somebody who pushes the pace, that he will hold up and continue that pace with that person.
Yes, and he can here. And again, Daupre wins this 6-0. But every opportunity that Daupre would look to sweep or look to invert, and we would have some sort of offensive pressure from Elijah, he wouldn't really. In this matchup, we saw him do the thing I don't like him doing a lot, which is constantly resetting the guard. We actually saw him really starting to play out of Dalpor's guard and looking for passing attempts and repeatedly. He also, I think, credit where credit's due. Dalpor has a couple of one early and one right at the end of the match, guard pulls. And Herber Santos used to have that amazing sprawl pass.
Yeah.
Elijah gets close on two of them. Tynan recovers and comes back through, but the second one, Tynan has to go to this deep half. It was very impressive to see Dorsey earn the respect of Tynan of like, yeah, man, I really have to kind of like be diligent with my guard here and can't overextend and I can't put you away. I really have to play a points game. And then Tynan go, I actually really don't want to stand with you for long periods of time. I want to put you back in my guard because I'm better there. I want to, and like you saw a lot of the.
But you saw, and with that one, with the deep half one that you're talking about towards the end, you also see where he almost goes from like, I'm going to pull into your legs to almost that I'm going to pull into one of your legs into a single leg. It's almost like he goes to pull, Elijah sprawls on top of him. So he like turns the corner and goes into deep half, and then deep half's not working. So then he comes up with a single leg.
And then Elijah goes for a triangle.
Yeah.
And then Dalpor is able to he gets the points off at the end. That's how he gets the last 2 points for that. But it was a very interesting match. I would like to see initiation from Dorsey. Like, he's an amazing counter fighter. Like, this match proves it to me. Like, man, he's a really good. We saw it again. His trials match versus Nicky Ryan.
Yeah.
Like, every offensive thing that Nicky Ryan would do, Elijah would do something there. But I think a lot of the times he's just not active enough to put the match in his own realm.
And I wonder if it looks different when he goes against people who are not as
like lesser levels of competition than Tynan or like
if I didn't
Ryan.
watch his earlier matches, but I wonder if Elijah's earlier matches, if he is more of a bully to people that don't have the same kind of clout. And then when he gets to people that have the clout, he plays a more pensive game.
Yeah.
And that more pensive game doesn't give him
most of the matches
openings.
I've ever seen from Elijah are always like the finals matches, the top matches, like the big matches where he is like in a championship spot there. Again, versus Micah, like the championship level spot matches. I don't look at a lot of his lower bracket matches. That may answer more questions about his game that I have here, but I was very, very impressed with how close and how persistent a lot of his passes were off of the opportunities and the attempts by Tynan. Yeah. It was like really good. He got a lot further than a lot. He stayed in it a lot longer than most of the people that faced Tynan. Yeah. And you saw like a different level of gamesmanship have to come out of Tynan in a very fun way. So yeah, this was a fun back and forth match that you really have to watch like at regular speed, I think, to really appreciate. But again, I was wrong. I think on my first viewing, and it was cool to have you kind of go, hey, watch that again. And I appreciate having the feedback. Sometimes I go, I'm seeing something else different here. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Anything else in this one?
Nope.
Next one, we got men's lightweight. We got Lucas Marquez defeating Luis Paulo by points, 5-4, back and forth. Good fun match. A couple of penalties here and there.
Sweeps,
passes. It was fun. Lucas Marquez takes that men's lightweight. Men's featherweight, we had Kolabate defeating Isaac Doderlin via advantages. Almost looked exactly like Wardzinski's match in that we had double pull from Doderlin and Kolabate. With Kolabate, man, knowing the rules well, he waits I think 16 or 17 seconds. And then when they're about to do the break, he sits up and he gets his advantage. And then it is Doderlin basically cycling through 3 different guards.
Well, it does get to 4. Cole sweeps back to 4. So there are some sweeps.
Oh, it is 2-2. You're right.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, my bad. There's a back and forth teeter-totter sweep at one point. Yeah.
But
it's mainly Doderlin in the guard.
But the advantage is what wins. It is not. Yeah. It's not.
It's mainly
it's weirdly titled there because it says he wins by advantages, but there were points. But anyway,
it's really Abate consistently trying to pass Doderlin's guard, and Doderlin just being a monster guard retainer. Occasionally, they sit down, go for the feet, and come back up. That was the entire match. Yeah. Moving on to Pato versus Anderson Delfino. Pato takes this one by rear naked choke. This was, again, camera angle perfect. Pato is up 12-4. 2 minutes left in the match. I've set the scene. It's a Pato match. You know how he got there. Pato is belly down. He has Anderson belly down. And he, to the camera, opens up the gi. And then he takes the gi on the one side. He passes it to his cross side hand. So basically, he's crossing the lapel over his body. And then he does, like, I know Barry Yoshida to do. Like, Barry Yoshida. So a lot of guys, when you go for a collar choke from the back with your own gi, you punch it down on the same side. So the side that I open up on your back, I will pass that lapel directly down in front of your neck on that side, and then under your neck, I'll loop it over to the cross side and take with my same side or opposite hand over. The way that Yoshida does, and a lot of guys do it now like this, and it's been done like this for a long time, but for some reason, I always think about this as a Barrett Yoshida thing.
Yeah.
Because he plays a lot of back crucifix, and I've studied his game a ton, and he historically did this a lot when he does the belt choke, the assassin choke. Yeah. This is how he does it. He pulls the belt to the other side over you and pulls it across. Pato does that. He pulls same side lapel, pulls it over the head, then under the chin, and Anderson goes, oh, that's not good. That's a lapel that could possibly choke me, and he grabs it. And then Pato goes, cool, and just belly down chokes him over the face with a regular rear naked choke, which is actually...
He was like, hey, hold this for me. I'm going to choke you.
That's what I call it too when I do it to people. I go, hold this. I don't say that in my head. I go, hold this, and then people instinctively, because you should. If you don't hold the lapel, you're gonna get choked with it. So you put your hand there.
In all honesty, for real, you say it to people probably. I know you. You probably go, hold this.
I do say it to people.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah, but like
don't act like you don't.
That doesn't come across. I do it to like my friends and stuff. It doesn't come across well on the show. I do hold this for me. And the best thing is a lot of times they will, and sometimes what they'll do is they'll bat it out of the way. Yeah. And I go, I need you to hold this.
I think normally if you try it, I'd like try to bat it. You do. Like I'm like, no.
You specifically bat it away, and it's less funny.
Because I don't want to hold it because I know what you're trying to do.
But it is so funny. We rarely see in the gi when you're on the back just bog standard rear naked chokes. It is because it is so much easier to get a lapel. Yeah, it is so much easier to get a collar choke from the back, like a zipper choke or a bow and arrow choke.
If somebody's holding their own lapel or your lapel for you, why not go right across the
I know,
face?
but it's a great move because you punch the lapel down. They have to do something. They either have to put a hand in front of the lapel, or they have to grab the lapel that you're putting down in front of their face. Like they have to do that because if they don't, it chokes you. Like you don't have an option, especially if you have someone riding high like Pato on your back that has the distance over your shoulders to reach in front of you a little bit. Like it is an unstoppable choke because you basically have to commit at minimum one hand to blocking that artery. And even then, a lot of times they can still punch down and still choke you. So you grab it. And then Pato just goes, and just punches across. And he is not under the neck here. It is face and under. But again, it's totally legal. He gets the choke. But it is a perfect camera angle to see exactly what he's doing. And I just love this choke in particular because it's just great bait. This is true black belt level finishing where you just see it's purposeful, it's thoughtful, it's dominant. And I really enjoy these kind of chokes. And it's awesome to see Pato. It's awesome to have such a good angle for it, considering a couple matches ago, it wasn't even on camera. To have a straight on camera angle. You can see Pato's expression as he goes for it. Like he's pulling out like a knife from behind to like finish the match. It's pretty badass. It's pretty cool. Any of your thoughts on it, Miranda?
No.
I got very excited watching this. I was like, that thing I do.
That's what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Well, that again, I like watching these. I like watching this level of jiu-jitsu because a lot of times nowadays what it does is it reinforces the things that I'm doing as like, cool, it's a thing that I like to do because I like to do it for funsies after work. But when you see it done at like a world level with these guys, it's like, cool, that is probably a good piece of my game that I should continue to utilize and keep in my game if it is working at a Brazilian championship level. Like, cool, it's validating.
I always like the guys that use their like mouth. They just put their lapel in
Used to be dead
mouth.
too. A lot of times what I do is I'll put it there first, change my hands, and then putting back down. Yeah. I forgot who I got that from. I think I got it like at white belt, like years ago.
There's a couple people that do it that you see it in these tournaments every once in a while.
Yeah. So that was That was men's light
I
featherweight.
mean, I'm not putting someone else's lapel in my mouth, but I'll put my
Yeah,
own.
you gotta live your life. I'll do both.
Little staff doesn't hurt you,
Men's roosterweight, we had Rodrigo Otavio defeating Yuri Silva by advantages. It was one early advantage, and he keeps it the entire time. I think it was a close pass, or wasn't a penalty advantage.
Whoever did this article, I give it to him for saying big win for the blue-haired guy.
Yeah, again, I love so I love these notes for Flo because this reminds me when you started the show, probably the first full year of the show, all of my notes looked exactly like this for all the events because what we do is we had such a small turnaround time on the show and we didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
8 years ago at this point. And so we would have like an event would be happening and then we'd record the show like an hour later.
Yeah.
So there wouldn't be, or like sometimes we'd even be watching live and like it would end and we would start recording.
Yeah.
Josh would come over, we'd watch an event, take notes. And so I'd be taking live notes like this. And then we do the recaps of like what we just watched.
This is kind of what my notes are like now.
Yeah. But it's just great to see. I like that style of notes because you can see there's some earlier matches where you can tell they're like giving you the framework of what's happening in the match, not necessarily like a summary overall. And I kind of like it because again, it actually gets us notes here from Flo and it gets us like match information that we don't have to take ourselves, which is nice on occasion. And it really hits the points that we would hit on a lot of the matches as like a viewer, as a spectator. Like, yeah, these are things I care about. Big win for the blue hair guy. Good. It lets me know who won Roosterweight because, again, I'm not super familiar with these both guys you are, but it gives you good context for information. If you're a casual viewer and you're not familiar with who they are, it gives you context. So men's ultra heavyweight gets closed out. Marcus Scooby takes that over Guy Suarez because you can close out. Men's super heavyweight, Eric Muniz defeats Nolan Stewart by armbar. He gets this at like 15 seconds left in the match. It's really
I want to say
late.
this is the same. This is the same match from Pans. That it was the two of them.
It does seem like a rematch. Again, credit to Nolan Stewart, man. He holds on for a long time, and this is a very, very close match. Muniz is up 3 advantages, like in the closing seconds, but he jumps past the guard very, very late, and then works for a really late armbar. He does it off of like a turnover, almost like a double unders. Like he forces a roll and inversion from Stewart, and then comes over and gets the arm off of it. It was a neat little transition. It did come a little late in the match for my liking, but it is cool to see Eric Muniz continue to work for the finish late in the match. There was really nothing close leading up to this finish. And then he has good positioning. He has good positioning of the arm. He really does a great job of keeping Nolan Stewart like completely flat down so that he can pull out the arm. Nolan Stewart at one point almost gets his hands back together, but he can't. You see Eric Muniz like kind of turn the angle to prevent Nolan Stewart from getting his hands back clasped together, and then he gets the arm bar. Again, very impressive. Eric Muniz takes another one.
Okay, so Nolan had won Pans.
Okay, he won Pans. Yeah,
he won Pans, but I don't think
different weight class. I don't think they were at Pans.
Muniz wasn't
wasn't there.
Eric wasn't there, I don't think.
Anderson might have been, but yeah, Eric wasn't there, I don't think. Or not in this weight class in super heavy. So that is all of the men's divisions. Moving on to the ladies, we had women's super heavyweight division. This is probably, actually, easily the biggest upset of the tournament. Tiny Porfirio finally dethrones Gabby Pisana. Points win. 4-0. I thought it was 6-0 at the end, but I could have that wrong. This was a very interesting match because this is sort of what I talked about when we previewed their matchup at BJJ Stars.
Was it 4-0 and then the 2 that he gives her gets waved off? Is that what happens? Remember the 2 that were like, we thought that he gave Gabby Pisana 2
Well, he
two
did
points,
give Gabby Pisana 2 points.
but they get waived
They
off.
haven't been waved off because
Okay.
they were not right. So
Yeah.
Let's talk about that first. At one moment in the match, you can see the referee
Towards the end
of the match. Tiny's up on points, and Pisana is in the guard, and she does what she does. She basically takes the hand, she punches to the outside, so basically you start to expose the shoulder and the back.
Yeah.
And she does that like shucking pass over, and she starts to take the back. And then as she kind of gets around and starts to cover the hips, so she has one hook in, the second hook never gets in, the referee goes 2. And I looked at Miranda and I went, that's not right.
Yeah.
And so that's like, that is really unfortunate to see, especially on camera, because that's like really egregious scoring error.
Yeah.
because there is, for context, the only play that you could score 2 points from the guard position is by a sweep into the guard.
Yes.
Like, that is the only way that from the guard, chest to chest, where your legs are in front of someone and they're in your guard, and you're playing guard and you've been there for 3 seconds or more, established in what is seen in jiu-jitsu as a neutral position, is you then use your legs in a single motion to take them over and become the top. Sorry, IBJJF's not single motion. You become the top player there.
Yeah.
Then you get 2 points. If you go from guard to the back, there is no sweep. There is only a back take because you are no longer chest to chest. You can't score a sweep.
And it's not. And the only other things that give you 2 points is a takedown, which is not done.
You're not standing, so there's no takedown. Knee on belly.
Knee on belly.
2 points.
Or
and then you picked up this, and you thought this may be what it was.
I thought it was an escaping the mat kind of.
Yeah,
ordeal.
so you can get 2 points also if you are fleeing the mat in a position.
Yeah.
If you flee the mat in a submission, it's an immediate disqualification now, which I think is a great rule. But that's the only other time you'll see 2 points awarded is like fleeing the mat.
But then they normally start them standing.
Correct. You do some sort of reset.
Yeah.
Even then, you put them back into the mat, into the center.
You start them standing.
When did you get the 2 points out?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that like the referee gives 2 for what is clearly guard to the back is really concerning. And again, I could be off base here. I could not understand a rule here, but in all of the years that we have done this, that has never been scored like that.
There isn't anything that would have, because like I said, if it was fleeing, it would have been, they would have restarted.
Reset,
them.
yeah.
They would have reset them. If not, it wasn't knee on belly because Tanya stays in like a turtle position, right? Yeah. So like there's no knee on belly there. If you go, there is no sequence that could have done anything there. Tanya stays up, so there's no sweep. Mm-hmm. And what other position?
Knee on belly.
Besides like even like a takedown, there's no takedown unless like she was in the guard for a bit. Yeah, she was in the guard. Because like if you pulled into the guard and then maybe like took your time getting to their back and got behind them, maybe you get an advantage. You get a cover.
But
I mean, advantage. No, you could say that it was a takedown,
and it wasn't established until finally you got it.
Because if you pull and then from the pull you shuck them by and get on shuck them by you and get on their back as soon as
it'd be 2 for Tiny. It wouldn't be 2 for Pisana because she'd be on the bottom.
It would be 2 on Pisana because Pisana's the one going around the back. So what I'm saying is like if I come up to you and I guard pull, right? And I just like I guard pull, but as I like sit to guard pull, I like
you do a revert, yeah.
I do whatever that is. I do a
drag.
I do a drag.
Yeah.
And then I take my time.
Snap down drag.
Yeah, I do a snap down drag and I come around your back. As soon as I cover your hips, that's 2 because that's a takedown.
If you cover the hips, like that.
Then that's 2.
Yeah.
But
they were in guard. They were in guard for like a protracted period of time.
So maybe he just thought that he thought they were standing before they got there.
It is really
because that's like one of those weird ones where like if you can get up fast enough, it's a takedown if they go to their butt.
Yeah.
But she also never goes to her butt. But they do the snap go behind for 2.
Right. It was just really it was weird to see a scoring error that egregious at this level in a Brasileiro's final. Like that's concerning. That's really concerning that your mat referee is making that error. Because even if you're
like, let's say you're in the guard, you grab the collars when you're in the guard, and you like shuck the collar, like you snap them to your side, and you pull yourself to their back as you snap them like kind of by you.
Yeah.
Right. That's still not a takedown because you're not from a neutral position standing.
And it's also not a sweep because you're not chest to chest anymore. You're not on top. You're not top player. There's no top player established. So it's really weird to see that scored. It's concerning. It's not even weird. It's concerning. Like that's a problem.
But it goes away.
It goes away, but it's a problem that your mat referee makes that egregious of a scoring error like that. And that's why you have corner refs, and that's great. But that's something I get on like my blue belts for having a problem with. This is like a black belt final in a major. Like that's really concerning.
And I can see there's some situations where they're a little like, maybe, kind of things.
This is a sweep to the guard, man.
There is nothing.
So, but that beside the point. It doesn't affect the match. Pisana at that end piece never gets the point, the hooks in it she would need in order to score and finish the match to even up 4-4 because because Gabby does have advantages at the end. This match is really interesting because we see Pisana go up against someone that she really can't bully around, that she doesn't have a weight advantage. And we see Porfirio really come in as the veteran here and stifle a lot of Pisana's game. Like, she pushes her around, like we saw in the BJJ Stars matchup. She pushed her around a little bit on the feet. She pulls. She's able to get the sweep. She's able to ground. And Pisana, to her credit, a couple of times is really a live dog in this fight, trying to get up, trying to get around. The 2 points that were interesting here that were scored, or the second 2 points that were scored for Tiny Porfirio, I was really concerned because at one point, Gabby Pisana essentially snaps, goes up, and is trying to take the back of Tiny Porfirio. And Tiny Porfirio techs down and basically goes to a 4-point stance where her knees and her legs are fully standing up and her both hands are on the mat. Like old school MMA fighter not trying to get kicked in the face.
Yeah.
Like that's what it looked like.
Like if you keep your hands
a
on the
4-point
mat.
stance.
Yeah, if you get your hands on the mat, you don't get.
Yes.
It's a quad pod.
Quad pod.
But not a good quad pod.
And Pisana sits here for almost 2 minutes, kind of trying to break Tiny down. And she's down on points at this point. Trying to break her down, trying to get her to a hip, trying to get her to the mat. And she seemingly runs out of ideas and runs out of answers for how to deal with this quad pod in a frankly very concerning way. She doesn't ever go to kick the knees. She doesn't ever go to kick the hips. She never goes to lift and drag. She never goes to turn. She never goes to shuck. And again, Porfirio is looking for the roll through back to guard here. But
it was Joe Gilpin doing our updates. So
yeah,
I
like
wonder,
Joe. Yamazaki guy.
I wonder if he was doing them as he was watching it.
Probably. Yeah, Joe's awesome.
Yeah.
He's a Yamazaki guy. He's been with Flow a couple years now. But
he's
did a bunch of interview work.
He's normally one of the voices that you hear.
Yeah. I was really happy when he got hired from
anyway,
BJJ Fanatics over to Flow.
I got you sidetracked. But
yeah, Joe's great. So she's in this quad pod, and it's like 2 minutes of her not being able to get Porfirio back down, and then Porfirio basically having one grip on Pisana's pant leg. And then from here, because Gabby kind of spends so long kind of trying to break her down, being able to break her down, trying to get a hip down, trying to get a knee down, trying to inside trip drag, but like never being able to commit and like knock Tiny down.
Yeah.
Tiny eventually goes, okay, and like can get enough of a base back to her that she's able to essentially turn Pisana's pushing into her, like not well-timed pushing into her, into a counter takedown.
Yeah, they kind of wind up squaring up. And then when they square up, she's just like, haha.
And she's squared up for more than 3 seconds there. So they're back onto the feet essentially, and she's able to get a takedown off of that. And it was like, it was technically a little concerning that she spent so long unable to get Porfirio back down.
It doesn't jump her back or do something.
Yeah, it was really, and again, she had Pisana had a really tough tournament, it seems, but it was really odd, like from a technical perspective, that she seemed to sort of run out of ideas of how to get her down.
Well, not a lot of people probably do that to her.
Yeah.
Are able to do that to
or
her.
able to kind of sustain the initial kind of aggressiveness that she has to get you back down. And it was just very, very odd to watch this match and kind of wonder, like, okay, well, Pisana has all of these other options available to her, unable to get it going, and then Porfirio going, well, cool, you're still standing here in front of me at this point and bent over, so I can just double leg you and get down. And that's essentially, those are the two scoring pieces of the match where Tiny's able to take it pretty cleanly. She almost gets her back taken twice by Pisana, Tiny's able to take it. She almost gets her back taken by Pisana 2 different times, but we saw in the BJJ Stars matchup, like that's when there was that weird controversial choke that didn't really look like a choke. That was like, the commentators were kind of looking for a tap that we didn't really see. Tiny it seems, came into this with a much better game plan of like, I'm going to play traditional good jiu-jitsu on you, play good from the guard, not let you pass, trouble you with the lapel lasso, with, keeping you down, not letting you pressure pass, not letting you get around. And then on the converse side, keeping heavy pressure in your guard, not letting you sweep me over, not letting you get underneath me to elevate me to get me over, and then not letting you get my back. And she didn't really go for the feet at all in this matchup. And honestly, the first 2 points that she gets is because Pisana goes for the feet, and then Tayane kind of stands up out of it. Yeah. So it was great adjustment for Porfirio to see the matchup that she's had a couple of matchups now, but the matchup BJJ Stars go, cool, that didn't work, not going to do that again, and then come in, because we've covered the sport for a lot of years. You would be surprised how often the first match looks like the second match, looks like the third match, looks like the fifth match, and athletes just don't make that adjustment. So it was very nice to see Tayane make that adjustment and kind of be able to pull Gabby out of her game enough and prevent the pass and prevent the underhooks.
And this is the rebirth of Tayane after her ban.
Yeah, was it a 1 year ban or was it a 3-year ban?
I think she was a 3-year ban.
Yeah,
she was banned in 2021,
2018, I thought,
or 2018.
2018, I think.
Yeah.
So I've been waiting for Porfirio to kind of return to consistent IBJJF competition at the top level for a while, because I thought that, given that the way she could play from the feet and the way that she can play from the guard, she would give Pisana real big problems. And I think it'll elevate both women in this division to be really exciting kind of rivals for years to come. But this is, again, first time that Tayane's been able to beat her at a major, and very, very interesting back and forth.
First time anyone has beat her.
Oh, yeah, first time at black belt. Yeah.
At all.
Yep. So big turning point here. I assume that we'll see Pisana go back to the drawing board here and kind of identify some of the areas that she struggled with. Kind of Porfirio, who's, again, very imposing. She's big, she's strong. I think Porfirio for years couldn't make the AJP weight because she's so heavy. She wasn't able to compete in AJP because she couldn't make the weight. So it'll be really interesting to see how Pisana kind of deals with someone of the stature of Porfirio, and I'm super curious how it plays out. So anything else on that one?
Give me 1 second. Okay, so she returned to competition in 2023.
Yeah, she was off for a couple of years. Yeah. And then she did some other stuff, and she was injured, I think, as well.
Because the other problem is, you going straight from, not competing at a high level to competing at a high level, meaning, black belt adult. You can't just... I guess you can just go straight back into competition, but that's...
You shouldn't.
Yeah, that's not something that generally comes back to everyone very quickly.
Yeah, if you take a couple of years off, usually you don't bounce back and you're totally good to go. There's usually a feeling in period that you kind of got to get back into. So it's cool to see her kind of seemingly through that now and be able to take out the top dog in the gi in the women's side of the sport. Yeah, super cool. So... women's heavyweight, we have Yara Suarez defeating Tamara Silva via a kind of a nifty bow and arrow choke. We were trying to figure out how this happened before. And essentially it's Yara Suarez kind of hunting for the back of Tamara Silva. And then Yara has a cross pant grip that normally what happens in this position is you have someone sit out super aggressively and super hard to fight out of it.
But the other thing is, and I just thought about this, is if they have the grip that she does on your lapel and you go to super sit out, you basically bulldog choke yourself.
You sit into the choke, yeah.
Yeah.
And so normally you sit out and kind of roll through, but because Yara Suarez has this far side pant grip from the back on Tamara Silva, when she rolls, Yara Suarez gets behind her and basically pulls her on top of her in not like a body bag choke, but it kind of reminds me of that same style of you're behind, you've rolled them on top of you to finish this bow. It's a really uncommon finish.
It's a bow and arrow choke, but it's kind of it's a lazier version of the bow and arrow choke.
You kind of pull them onto your lap, and usually you have to roll over and do a jumping pass over someone to finish this bow and arrow choke.
Or you sit back.
Yeah.
And you don't
usually pull them onto you. So it was really, we watched, I was like, that's really uncommon to finish that way. That's a really, and we kind of watched it kind of a couple times to figure out why.
It could have been also one of those things where you do your bow and arrow choke with your right hand on the,
one of those
one of those
hand-styling things.
Where all of a sudden you're in a position you really want something, but you're backwards to where you would normally do it.
And you just kind of go, fuck it, I'll do it this way anyway. And then it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are always, I love those chokes because you're like, oh, that's really weird. Your body goes, we're 90% there, guy. Figure it out.
Because as much as everybody wants to say that you should be good on both sides, you're not.
I talk about this in my class I teach a lot.
You're not.
I would much rather have one really good side and one kind of shitty side than two kind of mid sides. I'd much rather be good at least on one side.
Yeah,
and then,
there's certain things you can't do from one side.
yeah.
I can't Uchimata on one side. I can do one side. I can do.
Oh yeah, get out of here with the Uchimata on the other side.
I can do right side underhook. If I do left side underhook, I can't Uchimata.
Like bow and arrow and X, play both sides fine. You want to do any sort of like double to me, like not double is a bad example, like any sort of like single. My singles are all on one side. I'm not going to counter swing single you on the wrong side. Like I'm just not. It is not in my tool set.
No, I have the really weird shoot front foot thing going on, so it's a whole nother world with me.
This Yara Suarez versus Tamira Suarez in women's heavyweight, really interesting kind of finish where she rolls her over in a way we just don't see very often.
Yeah.
It was a neat finish. In women's medium heavyweight, we had Maria Carolina Vicente defeating Ariel Laverne. That was points. That was 6-2. It was counter sweeps back and forth, and yeah, it was. I like Laverne. But it was awesome to see Maria Caroline be able to take this. But it was back and forth. It was a fun match. Next one, we had Elizabeth Clay defeating Rebecca Lima by points 4-2. Cool to see Clay get back in the winning column. She's had a couple of tough losses back-to-back on super fights.
This was the match where we got to a certain point, and I was like, look at that. They both have one advantage and 2 penalties. We know what happened.
Yeah. That was this match?
That's a double guard pull.
Oh, yeah.
That's a double
You do this long enough, you can look at a scoreboard and be like, that's either 2 stallings or a double guard pull that no one came up on.
Yeah.
Again, credit's due. Clay does win the match. They play it to close margins. They're both sitting at 3 penalties at the end, which in IBJJF, 3 penalties, you get disqualified at the end of if you get 4 penalties. Yeah. So they're both playing very thin margins here.
3 penalties gives 2 points to your
opponent. Two penalties give 1 advantage.
Yeah.
So you can you can look at their score here and kind of figure out there was a lot of like.
Well, you look at it and you realize there's only 1 sweep. It's 4-2, but there was only actually 1 sweep committed.
Yeah.
By Clay. Because the other 2 is just both of them pulling.
Trading penalty points.
Yeah.
Essentially. It was a lot of very double seated open guard foot play for mostly Clay, kind of both looking to sort of come out on top with something and then not ever being able to do that. It is really cool. They have a cool note here that Clay is only the 3rd American black belt woman with Mackenzie Dern and Shelby Murphy to take a gold at Brasileiros, which again, it's a very heavily Brazilian-dominated tournament for the men and especially for the women. So it's really cool to see Clay here come in as an American and get a Brazilian national medal. Like it is not common at all. It's really tough. In women's lightweight, we have Jania Mai defeating Brianna St. Marie. I gotta get over that habit. By decision, 0-0-0-0-0.
And Janera won both Euros and Pans, so she is almost to the...
On pace for Grand Slam. BSM won the crown, which again, I love they have the notes here. This was a lot of standing passing from...
Why are you telling them about our notes? Don't tell them that we're reading.
I like the
notes.
I told them. I like the notes. Joe did a good job with the notes this time, man. I keep doing it, dog. I don't have to we don't have to generate all of our own notes because you said what I was going to say. So it's great. This was a lot of BSM standing passing and a lot of Janina not letting her pass.
Yes.
It's a 10-minute match. There are no advantages. That means she was unable to get passed enough to get an advantage, and she was never knocked over enough to be kind of starting to be counterswept.
Yeah.
Again, very tactical match with no change of position. That's the match.
But if you have one person that's standing on top of the other person and one person that's trying to sweep, the one that's trying to actively sweep is going to win over the person that just looms on top.
Yeah, traditionally in IBJJF, they give it to the guard player. That's a little less nowadays, but generally speaking, it still goes to the guard player
nowadays,
more often.
If you're the one that's creating the action, the other one's just looming on top of you, you're going to win.
Yeah, a little bit. That's I think it's gotten a lot
'Cause
more
you're,
equal.
You're creating something.
Yeah,
You're
the person.
doing something.
It's more of like ADCC now, where it's like the person doing and pushing the action is usually given the word for the points. Women's featherweight, we have Casimora defeating Margot Cicerelli 3-0. Margaret blows her knee out, or sprains her knee.
Yeah.
Early, like the first minute or two of the match. Cassie is able to pass eventually off of that, and then Margaret continues to play guard for the entirety of the match. Doesn't get passed again, and that's the entirety of the match with Cassie Moore. Really heavy, slow-paced passing, really trying to flatten Cicerelli out for big
Bruno
stretches
Bastos.
of the match.
I was trying to figure out who that guy was.
Yeah.
The guy in the white T-shirt. Corner. Good corner, sir.
Bastos.
Yes.
Yeah, there's Bruno Bastos. Yep, Cassie Moore's coach.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was interesting. Again, I hope that Cicerelli's leg is fine. It looked kind of gross. It's kind of why you're hesitant to do that. Versus basically, Cicerelli is going to go to invert off of the guard pass.
Well,
but
she goes
Cassie
to,
Moore has a grip on a pants.
Yeah,
to prevent it.
she goes to windshield wipe. What is it called when you circle your leg in?
Leg circle. Leg wheel or leg.
Yeah, she does the wheel.
Windshield wiper.
The windshield. No, it's not windshield wiper because the windshield wiper is
It's the regard. You got to regard the leg in front of the body.
It's the stupid thing they make you do in warm ups all the time.
Egg beater.
Leg circle. It's a leg circle, but then you put it in front of them and they go the wrong way.
And you got to push off of it. But Cassie Moore has a grip on the underside of the pants, and so she leans into this, and it makes Cicerelli's knee go bop. And then you see Cicerelli go, oh, and pull her knee out and kind of like shake her leg, and then play guard for the rest of the match with one knee. Very impressively.
I mean, maybe you decide that you can still do it because,
Yeah. That was the match. It was 3-0 on the light featherweight division. We had Brenda Larissa defeating Jessica Carolina via decisions. This is the match that we looked at. We have 2 penalties per piece and 1 advantage per piece. This is it's an even score. 2 penalties gives you 1 advantage, so it was a non-scoring match, and they gave it to Brenda Larissa. Passing versus
not passing.
That's the match. Women's roosterweight, we had Maisa Bastos beating Thaya Loreno via 28-0. And then at the last probably 10 seconds, she drops for an armbar that she doesn't get. Again, it's Maisa Bastos. She's only taken a couple of losses recently at all. Very, very dominant. Again, 28-0. Numerous times she spends in mount. She passes a couple of times. Never gets to the back. She seemed to be looking for like a X choke from mount for a little bit of time there, but it really seemed like that she was only going to hunt for a sub if she was given the back, and Loreno really pinned her shoulders to the mat and prevented any sort of back take opportunities, so Bastos just continued to kind of rack points whenever she would retain the guard. Very extremely one-way traffic match, and Bastos takes another major title. Anything else on that?
No. I didn't realize that. So Bastos switches between rooster and light feather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can never know exactly what tournament that she does.
So Jessica Caroline, that's in the light feather finals. She is who Bastos beat for pans.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So
it could have also been Cicerelli's the next weight class up.
Yeah, Cicerelli's
I'm
up
thinking
at
more of
feather.
like you put yourself in a weight class that doesn't have your not your friends, but your competitors, other AOJ people. You're kind of spreading yourselves out.
And traditionally, that's what a lot of the big camps do.
Or Jessica Caroline was like, fuck going against him.
I'm going to go up in weight.
Yeah, I'm going up in weight because I don't want to go against Bastos.
Bastos is a tough to beat, man. So that's Brasileiros. It was fun this year. There were a lot of fun matches. A lot of matches that weren't so fun, but I think there's enough intermixed in the finals that were actually really entertaining and had a lot of cool, interesting technical pieces that kind of go back and be worth watching. So any kind of final closing thoughts on Brasileiros?
Nope.
All right. So that's it. I'm not going to preview anything this week. We're already running a little bit long. Actually, regular time for the show, 85 minutes normally.
Yeah, I don't know of anything huge that's coming up anytime
We're gonna play it by ear next week. Might be
Yeah.
a topic show, possibly.
Well, right there, it is the ADCC Atlanta Open, the Elevate Submission Series, and the Ocean BJJ Trials in Venice.
Oh, we might cover Ocean BJJ Trials.
My only problem with Ocean BJJ Trials is it is...
Sometimes the footage is...
Well, it's also a smaller European event, and so we don't always know the names of the people. Unless it is...
And Tess Matei shows up.
Yeah, unless it is Polish heavy.
Mm-hmm. Then a lot of those guys are like, oh, it's going to be fun this time. So we'll cover one of those coming up next week.
I'm sure the Atlanta Open will have like a couple good matches.
Oh, the absolute. We'll cover the absolute division.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. Always, again, as we get closer and closer to trials, and trials coming up in like 6 months.
Atlanta has people like Ardilla that just like
will show up and be like, I'm Paul Ardilla. And
like,
it was like,
he'll be like, I tried a trial yesterday. I'm just gonna come in here.
And today I'm gonna win 88.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Because that's what I do.
Yeah.
Like, okay, thanks, Paul Ardilla. Leave some ADCC trials medals for the rest of us.
He's gonna look handsome the entire time.
He is absolutely gonna do that. So, Miranda, any kind of closing thoughts? Anything fun you got going on this week? I'm gonna get to painting.
No.
And get us in the studio eventually.
No, I haven't. I haven't thought that far ahead yet. Truthfully, it is still Monday, so I'm still planning
very
out.
much Monday.
In a couple weeks, I'm going to Fury in Atlantic City.
Nice. That's my birthday today. I forgot about that.
Oh, it's your birthday today?
It is my birthday today, yeah.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. So, no one will ever know that because we're at the end of the show. And so if you've made it this far, props to you guys. May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. That's all I got, Miranda. Anything else?
Nope, that's okay.
As always in the show, I'm your host, Maine, to my co-host,
Miranda.
We have the Grappling Rewind, sending that where it is. Stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.